You know that feeling, right? A racing heart, a chill down your spine, that gut punch sense that you are not alone. But where does that feeling really come from? Tonight, we're going to peel back the layers of fear itself.
I mean, what is it? Is it the monster under the bed? Or maybe the one you pass on the street? Is it some creature from a forgotten, ancient past? Or is it that chilling realization that your safest space, your home, has been breached? We're going to dissect what makes these stories tick and why they get under our skin so effectively.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this little descent into darkness. First, we'll journey way back to confront some ancient, primal nightmares. Then we're going to look at the much more modern threats of unpredictable strangers. From there, we move to the ultimate terror, danger inside our own walls. And finally, we'll ask that big question: why in the world do we seem to crave the very scare we dread? So, our journey begins hundreds of thousands of years ago. I mean, long before haunted houses and slasher films, there were real monsters roaming the earth. We're talking creatures so immense, their memory might just be imprinted on our collective DNA. Now, this isn't Bigfoot or some myth. This was a very real, absolutely monstrous ape, and it's actually a relative of the modern orangutan. It lived in the forests of Asia, and yeah, it was probably a vegetarian, but just try to imagine how early humans felt seeing this thing step out from behind the trees. And just look at the scale of this creature, 3 meters. That's nearly 10 feet tall. This was not just a big ape. This was a true giant, a creature of completely overwhelming power and presence. You can see right here just how outmatched our ancestors would have been, weighing up to 1,200 pounds. I mean, its strength would have been unbelievable. Getting too close just wasn't an option. This is the very definition of a primal threat. But, our ancient fears weren't just stuck on land. The ocean, deep, dark, and mysterious, it held its own titans. And the most famous of all is, of course, the megalodon, a shark that makes a modern great white look like a goldfish. And here's the terrifying reality of that. The biggest great whites we see today, they top out around 20 feet. Megalodon was estimated to be 60 feet long and could weigh up to 100 tons. Now, it died out about 2.6 million years ago, but let's be honest, if it were still around, our beach holidays would look very, very different.
Okay, so the ancient monsters may be gone, but fear has evolved. In fact, you could say it's gotten a lot closer. See, today, the most terrifying monster is often the one that looks just like us. It's that unpredictable human element that can shatter our sense of safety in a single instant. Take this true encounter, for example. It starts with something just bizarre, almost funny. A man dance-walking down an empty street at 1 a.m. But then, the normal patterns of human behavior start to break down. The dance becomes this unnerving stillness. The narrator glances away for just a moment, and he's suddenly, impossibly closer. And then comes the final beat, a full-on sprint, pure, unadulterated terror. But sometimes the threat isn't just approaching. Sometimes it's already there. Like the story of a teenage boy walking to his girlfriend's house at night, hearing strange noises behind him. He finally gets there, he waves to her in the window, and he calls her. And as they're talking, she asks the bone-chilling question you see on the screen. The fear wasn't what was hiding in the bushes. It was the man crouched just 10 feet behind him the entire time.
So what happens when the locks don't hold? When the threat is no longer outside trying to get in, but is already inside with you? This is the ultimate violation. It's the total collapse of our final sanctuary, our own home. Just imagine this for a second. You've just moved into your first apartment. You're on the phone, you drop it, and it slides under the bed. You lie on the floor to reach for it, and as you peer into that darkness, something is looking back. And there it is, the absolute worst-case scenario, confirmed. A person lying perfectly still back towards you, hiding in the one place you are supposed to be completely safe. In this true story, the man was armed with a kitchen knife, just waiting for her to come out of the bathroom. The sanctuary had become the trap. And sometimes, the invasion isn't silent. Sometimes it is a full-blown assault. This harrowing account from a Halloween party just shows the methodical horror of a planned attack. It began with pure chaos, masked men storming the house, taking everyone hostage. A small group of survivors managed to hide, but the intruders were relentless. They shot the lock and broke down the door. The homeowner, a guy named Nick, he gave himself up to protect his friends, but it wasn't enough. In the end, the intruders murdered 2 of his friends before they left, turning a night of celebration into a lifelong trauma. So, after hearing all of that, we have to ask a pretty important question. Why are you still watching this? Right? Why are we so fascinated by horror movies, true crime, and terrifying stories? Why do we actively seek out the very feeling we try so hard to avoid in our real lives? Well, psychologists actually have a few pretty compelling ideas. Part of it is just the appeal of a safe thrill. It's like a roller coaster for our emotions. You get the rush of danger without any of the actual risk. We also look for catharsis, right? A way to release our own real-world anxieties in a controlled space. By watching these stories, we can feel a sense of mastery over our own fears. And, of course, there's that pure biological kick of an adrenaline rush. But ultimately, it's a way for us to explore the darkness from a very, very safe distance. So we've journeyed from prehistoric giants to the stranger on the street and finally to the intruder in the closet. We've tried to deconstruct what makes a nightmare. So I guess the only question left to ask is, when you turn off the lights, which one will be waiting for you?